absolute fit about it. Like, I forgot that I had a C, and so I went anyway. And one of the teachers was upset with me. The principal understood it. He wasn't mad at all. But one of the teachers was really, really upset with me. And, like, completely disregarded what her boss said and put me pretty much put me in detention. Even though her boss said not to do otherwise. And then he was a coward, frankly, and did not stand up to her. So my parents were so mad that they pulled me out.
Yeah, that'll do it. That will do it. Can't understand that. God, I didn't even know that they were doing Murph cuss. I hadn't heard anything about it. I'm just looking at their Facebook page right now.
Alright, we're about to come back here.
Why is it a struggle with this freaking controller on this dock, man? Oh man, go away.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. So while the Supreme Court got a great ruling about school choice,
so weird.
Gretchen Whitmer and her Board of Education, they're trying to kill off school choice in the state of Michigan. Democratic Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and her state's Board of Education are opposing a ballot initiative already passed by the state legislature that would provide vouchers for more than 1 million students to attend the school of their choice. The State Education Board adopted a resolution on Tuesday against the Let Michigan Kids Learn ballot initiative, which is similar to legislation used in other states and would allow families to use tax credits to send their children to private schools. If it receives around 340,000 signatures, the proposal will be included on the November ballot without the governor's signature. Whitmer in October had vetoed bills containing the school choice tax credits, which had been passed by the Michigan House and the Senate, saying that they created tax shelters for the wealthy. What? Tax shelters for the wealthy. Imagine using that argument to deny poor minority kids who benefit the most from going to private schools the opportunity to get a better educational life. What an amazing bit of tyrannical thinking. Democrats and members of National Teachers Union organizations have consistently opposed school choice initiatives, and the reason that they do is because it's less money and less kids who are in the public school system, less teachers. If you have less teachers, well, then you have less teachers union members, and if you have less teachers union members, you have less dues being paid to the teachers union. And if the teachers union has less dues, then the teachers union doesn't have enough money to give to their politicians that they have in their back pocket. Get it? Like I said, this is a gym membership business model. Get as many people as we possibly can. I have been over the research on this countless times over the years. We have pursued a quantity over quality teacher system in our country. The reason that they want you to get class sizes down is because they want more teachers. More teachers pay more union dues. The more union dues that the unions make, the more money and more political influence they have to reign over politicians. It's this cyclical thing. We know from the research,
and
from the
science
that is consistent over and over and over again.
I think you do it by tired.
Teacher in a class that allows problem children to be removed from the classroom environment does not need to have a small class size to be successful. It is just not a real thing. It is a make-believe thing based on old data from way back in the early 80s that's completely outdated, and the methodology was
can't change the wheels. Huh.
Let's see. Joe Biden's Education Department drew fire in May when it proposed to cut federal funding for some charter schools. School choice and educational voucher programs are supported by one form or another by more than than 65% of public school parents. So again, people who are in public school, the vast majority of them still support some form of voucher school choice program.
What's up, Pepper?
The Mackinac Center for Public Policy has also found school choice alternatives are more likely to serve poor minority student populations in Michigan, which is something that we have talked about extensively on the show as well. So when Gretchen Whitmer goes out there and straight up lies to everybody that this is a tax shelter for the wealthy, considering all of the data that we've gone through over this, which shows that no, this is what best benefits minority students, they're the ones that benefit the absolute most. And again, there's ways for you to do this stuff where super ultra rich people don't get a benefit. There are ways for you to do that. Do I advocate that? No, but you can certainly do that. Let's see. Michigan Superintendent Michael Rice said that the Michigan Student Opportunity Accounts program would devastate public schools and reduce state revenue by $500 million in the first year. No, it wouldn't. Mackinac Center for Public Policy Director of Education Policy Ben DeGrow argued looking at only the revenue impact obscures the program's overall fiscal effect. True. Again, they try to make this case that when the student leaves, it takes a portion of the money that school would get for that student being in there, and they take that to the private school, while the rest of it still goes to that public school. The public schools argue that they have had a funding cut. No, you didn't. You got free money, and you don't have to teach the student. No, none of your resources are going for that student yet. You got a little windfall, a little kickback. You're the ones that get the benefits. So explain to your own how funding works on this thing. If it were up to me, you would take 100% of the state and federal funding that your child gets that goes to the public school. You can take that anywhere you want it. But that's not how these programs are drawn up. And so they love to tell you they lose money.
Pepper, stop it.
They've been defunded. That is not true. It's not even completely true. It's a straight up lie, to be honest with you. We're coming out of News 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
Oops, sorry.
Alright, folks, I will be back in a couple of minutes. It's real hot outside. But first,
Dude. Wow, there's your payback, huh?
it ain't too bad out here. No, no. And it's not like cougars going on. Hey, hey. Darn bull. Is he big? I better have swamp bull. Yeah. Not swamp bull. Stop. Damn. Why would Mother Nature make a bull and do strict kamikaze to somebody's eyeball? Go in the house and cool off for a little bit. When I get back out here and finish your work. Thermostat set on 68. She's got this ours 68 degrees. Turn this thing up to 74. But you had that air condition set on 68 degrees. What you trying to do? Make it take it all over the power wheel. Have one cool down. I got no with it. I think it's finally cool enough where I go outside and get some work done. But first, I'm gonna make sure I don't get the swamp bug again. Go sweet with me. And last, but not least, it's time to cut the grass. Cool enough where I can enjoy better time.
Damn it. What the fuck, man? You guys are assholes, I swear. What is with the brakes in this car, man? Wow.
Thank you for tuning in to Stock 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. I want to thank R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend and Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. You can find them online at rbcarcompany.com. Bit of funny news here. The Democratic National Committee has been forced to make a price slash. So get your wallets out. If you want to have a photo taken with Vice President Kamala Harris, you can now get that done at a much cheaper price than you could last week, because the DNC has had to slash prices for the photo op with Harris because of weak demand. Tell me the Democrats aren't freaking out about who they're going to run in 2024 right now. Remember, the plan was Biden 2 years, Kamala Harris comes in, slide Pete Buttigieg in that VP slot. If you're lucky, Kamala can eke out 10 years, right? But nobody likes Kamala. How many people like Pete? This may be the only product in America that's getting less expensive. The DNC is slashing prices for a photo of Kamala Harris. Tickets for a photo op for the VP at the Women's Leadership Forum started at $15,000, but it failed to sell enough tickets and is being postponed. VP's June fundraiser in Cali is charging $5,000 gas taxes to fix our failing infrastructure. By the way, how's he doing? It's in his second term. How's he doing on the infrastructure fixes in the state of Indiana? How our infrastructure, with all of the new tax revenue that he has generated, with his increase in gasoline taxes, are held for Republicans at the state level. Anybody? Is the infrastructure much better? I mean, not around here, maybe other places in the state. If you travel, I don't know. So Indiana gas tax will reach a record high in July. Drivers will be able to pinch a few pennies for a month to fill up in the waiting days of June, and not after the turn of the calendar to July. That's when Indiana's gas tax will climb from, I think it's at 56 cents now to 61 cents. Isn't that nice? July tax rate will exceed the June rate by 5 cents. According to the Department of Revenue, Indiana's state gasoline tax automatically adjusts the price of fuel itself, and higher gas prices from the oil industry translates into higher tax rates. Right now, the average price per gallon of regular unleaded gasoline in Indiana is $5.13, though some local stations are back below $5 per gallon. I'm not going to lie, it's pretty stoked. $1.43 pounds per gallon. So the state's Democratic Party has called for suspension of gas tax. Governor meanwhile initiated an inflation relief plan that would distribute payments of $225 to residents under the state's automatic taxpayer refund law. Was built on the initial $125 payments taxpayers received last month under the same policy. I don't think I got that. I got to go back and look. I don't know if I've stolen it, but which is entirely possible. Both are very, very plausible. But you take a look at this, and it's like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and get rid of inflation. And this is Holcomb's idea of getting rid of inflation. We got inflation for a myriad of reasons, but let's be honest, COVID, Keynesian economics is the main reason, right? We handed out a bunch of free money because we artificially shut down the economy, and because we decided to go Keynesian economics and everybody, I told you at the very beginning we started doing it, I said, look, I understand why they're doing it. The government's forcing you to shut down. They have to pay you to live. Okay? I prefer they didn't shut you down, but if they're going to do it, they've got to pay you to live. You can't just force people to not be able to earn a living and then abandon them. But at some point, we're going to pay for it with inflation. And I told you, whatever the next president's going to be, with Trump or anybody else, we're going to pay for it with inflation. Here we are. So Holcomb's great idea to fight inflation is more Keynesian economics, which caused inflation. Never trust a man with no chin. I'm telling you this. You trust a man with 3 or 4 chins. Never trust a man with no chin. So you are going to have the most expensive gas tax. And remember, this is just the Indiana portion. Okay, I want you to understand something. 61 cents is just Indiana's portion. That's not the full portion. That's just Indiana's taxes. Every single gallon of gas, 61 cents, goes to the state of Indiana. Then you got the federal stuff on top of it. Just so you know. Now, remember, I didn't tell you the story. A bunch of people made fun of it. It's hysterical. I figured everybody else was talking about it, so I'm going to review and hearing about it again. Remember that my plan to fix gas prices was for all of you. Remember what it was? It was to send you a debit card. Remember that?
More
We're
inflation.
just going to give you a debit card. Is that just putting the money in your bank account like we've been doing for the past 2 years? We're just going to send you a debit card. The problem is that you can't get debit card because the microchip thing is very short supply. So the supply chain issue largely, but not exclusively, caused by our inept government, also prevented you from getting full assistance, which is something that was definitely caused by our government.
Hello.
Hey Dave, Norman from Crutchfield. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, Norm. How you been?
I'm good. Hanging in there. We're enjoying the summer. Tell me about this odd intermittent flickering.
Were you able to see the video? Did I send the video?
Nope, it just said flickering, and it said, but I didn't actually get an email with it. That's part of the reason why I was calling, because I was thinking that you meant to send it, but it actually didn't get an attachment.
Okay, I was going to send it after you replied.
Oh, gotcha. So let me reply right now. Hold on.
I'm a little
How's
concerned.
the summer been for you? Oh, one talk time good?
Oh, it was amazing.
Very, very, very cool. I was quite impressed.
Yeah.
Did all the notes, and yeah, I got it as one of my birthday presents. I turned a whopping 66 on Monday.
Nice. Congratulations. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. It's amazing to be this old.
Yeah. I hear you. Top Gun, I would have loved to have seen it. Well, Maverick, I would have loved to have seen it in IMAX. But
Yeah, we saw it in IMAX, and totally worth the tickets.
wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right, just sent you an email.
Uh-huh. So a couple weird things are happening. A scene will be playing, and just all of a sudden it'll dim, and it can be repeated. But then if I go back and watch the same show, I don't know, a few days or so later, that spot, it's no longer doing it.
So, let me make sure I get it right. And this is when you're streaming something or playing a disc, or
usually streaming.
Gotcha.
Or even playing on PlayStation 4. But usually in streaming on the Apple TV.
Have you ever seen it when you're playing a Blu-ray disc?
No, I don't recall. And those are always Dolby Vision and everything else.
Probably.
I think it might be something in the settings that could be having a hard time dealing with all the different colors and contrasts and whatnot, and the amount of LEDs in the array that could be causing a little conflict. I don't know.
So you might need to do a little detective work, and I have an idea, and but I want to run something by you to see if it kind of makes sense with your experience. It would seem like, because you're paying for, because you use Netflix, right?
Yeah.
And are you also using Amazon Prime movies?
Yeah. Okay, so the video I'm about to send you, it was actually recorded during playing Apple Music on the Apple TV. If I can find it.
Is your Apple TV, is it a 4K Apple TV?
Yeah. Yeah. Not the current gen, it's the one before this current one. Alright, so...
Are you sure it's a 4K?
Yeah, positive.
Gotcha, okay, good. And
they didn't announce a new one last week or the week before. You know, everybody's expecting the new one to be able to do high-res music because these current versions can't. They don't have the chipset to do it, which really sucks. But Atmos in Apple Music sounds really good in my system. 21 Pilots, they released their full discography, studio discography in Atmos, and that sounds great. I've got a playlist of all their stuff. I'll stream that while I'm racing. And I'm not supposed to do that because YouTube doesn't like it, but whatever.
Well, what might be happening, and I've heard this from just stuff I read online, you're the first one to talk to, that sometimes a service will, let's see. Okay, I've got it yet.
Okay.
Did you already do
Yeah,
that?
yep, I sent it. I sent it.
Yeah, I haven't got it yet.
Okay.
What happens is that say it's Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I've had, that's the reason why I asked Netflix, Amazon Prime, and I can't think what the other one was. Not Apple. I heard that about Apple. But but sometimes the data stream, there you go, gets a bump.
Okay.
And what it'll do, it'll temporarily drop down to the next resolution level.
Okay.
Which typically is standard definition and not high dynamic range with standard dynamic range.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that happens is the picture immediately dips.
Okay.
And then as the bandwidth opens back up, whatever the temporary, congestion clears up, and then it pops back up. And so I'm playing the video right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's usually on their server end?
Well, it's not always on their server end. Well, I'll back up. Let me watch the video for a second.
Yep. There's audio to it also.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Supposedly the iPhone.
So I'm seeing in the picture of the two guys, it looks like there's half, the upper picture is brighter and the lower part of the picture is dimmer.
Well, not that. The upper right-hand corner of the screen is where you're going to notice the flickering.
Oh, gotcha. I wasn't paying attention to that. Let's see that. Hold on.
Yeah, the screen is different hues of a color, and the lyrics scroll.
Interesting. Does the flicker only happen when you're getting the text scrolling?
No, actually, it happens on the Hopper also. Which?
Oh, you're using Dish?
Yeah, I've got Dish. I've got the Apple TV, PlayStation 4, and the Panasonic 8020. I do not believe I've ever seen it happen with the Blu-ray player ever. That's always crystal clear. Amazing. The Hopper 3, it's old technology right now, and it's struggling to process the video.
Because I thought, and I could be wrong, because I haven't had a system with the Hopper. I've been down with one of 2 or 3 years. But I thought it only did 1080.
Yeah, it's 720p 1080i, and there is some 4K content, which looks a little bit worse than 1080p Blu-ray. But it's okay,
right.
And it's never 5.1 either. It's always stereo, which pisses me off.
Yeah, just because it can't support the. And which TV is this on?
This is on the LG, on the Nano. I'm guessing
the 65-inch.
Yeah, yep.
So,
The 90. I'm guessing Dish has like bandwidth issues. So
yeah, that is showing.
then it just stops.
Well, here's what I'm thinking, and I don't think it's anything to do with TV. It could be, but it just doesn't sound like it.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening is that the TV needs a certain amount of data to know what to do. And when, like, there's a bandwidth issue, just either the Hopper is, for even a second, it takes, if you have 1 second interference, it takes 3 or 4 seconds, typically 3 to 4, sometimes 5 seconds for it to catch back up to the full screen when it restores itself. And sometimes it's more, but what I think is happening is that the information being fed to the TV, whether it's from Netflix or the Hopper or Amazon Prime, is the data bit rate drops.
Okay.
The TV doesn't have as much to work with. This is most noticeable when you go from a 1080p or a 4K signal that's got high resolution, the dynamic range,
Right.
brighter pixels.
Right.
When it's got to drop back because it just doesn't have enough bit string to support it, the standard definition, which is automatically dimmer. And then as soon as the buffer or the whatever's called the congestion frees up, because usually it's temporary, then it starts getting the high definition or the high dynamic range restored, and then it brightens back up. And is that making sense?
Yeah, I understand.
So I don't know that, but it seems based on the fact that it doesn't do it on playing a Blu-ray disc, and doesn't do it on Apple, because Apple, even if it's only 720 or even 480, it'll still jump it up to 4K. So the TV doesn't have to do anything.
All Apple TV's streaming, their Apple TV Plus content, all that stuff looks great and it sounds great all the time. Even HBO Max is the same way.
Now, the HBO Max, are you using the app in the TV or using the app inside Apple?
Apple on the Apple TV.
Right, but when you said HBO Max,
yeah,
is that also still using the Apple 4K?
No, it's its own app on the Apple TV.
I think we're saying the same thing. The Apple TV box.
Correct.
You're using inside of it the HBO Max.
Correct.
You're not using HBO Max on the TV.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, so we're saying the same thing. Okay, good.
Right.
And so it's pretty likely that it's bandwidth related, not TV related.
Okay. All right.
Does that make it more sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing you could do to get around it is, let me ask you this: are you using the Netflix app? Is it the one built into the TV?
No.
Is it also from the Apple?
Yep. The one in Apple TV has given me, I think Atmos, whereas the app on the TV had only given me 5.1 on some shows, if I'm not mistaken.
That makes sense. So are all the stuff that you're streaming is all coming from an app inside the Apple TV?
Yeah. I'm using the Apple TV as the hub for all my streaming. I'm not using any of the apps on the TV right now. I've got a bunch of apps that are on there. Even Apple Music is on there now. It sounds like crap compared to the real Apple Music, though.
Right, no, it's a surprisingly big difference. First time I heard it, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I was impressed.
Mm-hmm.
It still seems like a bandwidth issue, though.
As far as speed, we got gig. So I'm not hurting on speed, so I'm guessing it's bandwidth on their end.
Could very well be.
I had an issue with Netflix when we first switched over to the 4K program, the premium plan that they've got, and really I got the Apple TV and I was trying to watch some stuff that had Atmos, and just all of a sudden the upper channels would just get super loud, and Netflix was wanting me to contact the speaker manufacturer. Pardon me?
I said something is at the door.
Something is at the door?
Yeah, somebody.
Okay.
Take care of that and call me back, or are you good?
Yeah, let me call you back.
Yeah, call me back. Bye.
Okay. Which door? Hey. No, she's actually at the ER. Yeah, she has some pain in her foot, and she has some numbness in her hands. Cereal? I'm lactose intolerant. He's not a big cereal eater. Yes, we're not cereal. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. See ya.
Where's Rashid? I'll tell you what, Rashid. Time on the job for. Where are you? Where is she? There you are. Good to see you. I especially want to thank Joe Procari. I think Joe's done one heck of a job. Patty Murphy, Eliza Slotkin, Senator Rick Scott, Wisconsin, and Laura Underwood. Where's Laura? There she is, right there. Good to see you, Laura. Linda Greenhouse, Thomas Greenfield. And Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, excuse me, under the leadership of mayors like, our mayor. And of course, we see her first in the nomination.
Oh, hey, Pepper.
Tangi, well, you saw her. I guess you saw Justice Brown Jackson. Under Mr. Secretary, you can come up too. I'm watching that television. That's why that's the Secretary of Energy. Governor Randall, Senator Randall. She's the Secretary of Randall. That's my governor, former governor. She's the former governor of Michigan. She was a former senator. She was a governor. She's running my operation now. And
Casey Hendrickson. Please go. What's that? 437. Yeah, go to hardcompany.com. All right, two things, and then we'll get into what's happening in school here. Actually, everywhere, but specifically here. And if you're asking, is here on the Indiana or Michigan side of the border, the answer to that is yes. So, story number one is official. No longer do we have competing polls. It is official. Joe Biden is now the most unpopular second-year president in recorded history. Ouch. That sucks. For him. I mean, for me, not so much. Joe Biden has crossed another major milestone. The former vice president is now the lowest rated second-year POTUS ever, according to polling aggregate site 538, which again is run by a liberal, which has a hard left bent on its editorial side. Biden is now the most unpopular former vice president in recorded history at this point in his tenure. Just in his second year, he is more unpopular than any of his predecessors, where polling data exists stretching back to 90 years ago. Now, you need to understand something. Like real clear politics, 538 doesn't aggregate among every poll done. So we've been giving you some polling data on Biden 32, which for the record is Trump's lowest. There's some polls that have been 33 or 34, maybe 35. Others will have been 32. But the average has been like 3 or whatever. But this is an aggregate as well. All of those polls, it is now the lowest POTUS ever at this point in their presidency. Next, it's not news, it's CNN. We mentioned him earlier. We talked about Tubin. Tubin is the guy who diddled himself on camera at a work meeting and got suspended and brought him back. And Tubin he's being quoted as one of those names that might not be there in the near future. Some people started to notice there's a weird pattern over at CNN lately. Some of the people at CNN that you all know and love suddenly have started actually doing some news work. And people are getting a little weirded out by it. Like Dana Bash. She used to do news work. She wasn't at Ryan. She used to do news work. And now
Oh my gosh, it's horrible.
Suddenly she's going back to doing news work. And there's been a couple of people on the network who have actually asked really good questions. And they've challenged the Biden administration narrative a couple of times. It's very rare still, but it did happen. And a lot of people are wondering why. Well, remember, Time Warner is taking over. The guy that runs the Discovery division is expected to handle CNN. And they said that they wanted to get away from this opinion stuff. They wanted to get away from right-wing stuff. They wanted to go straight news. That was what they were going to do. Well, it seems like maybe perhaps that is starting to emanate in some of the programs. People are desperately trying to keep their jobs. Unfortunately, it looks like a lot of people are out. Now, we don't have a concrete, hard list here. What I can tell you, once again, is the ratings, which are horrible. They're down like 67% from the beginning of the year. It's insane how much ratings they've lost. So CNN is averaging just 480,000 total day viewership. Yuck. That's really bad. So they're anticipating several people being let go. Brian Stelter is the first name to be floated. Of course, most people know that Brian Stelter is not very bright, shouldn't have a job in media anyway. We think that he had, this is my assumption here, based on his own website, I think Brian Stelter had something on somebody and he got himself out. That's what I think ended up happening. But he used to do these, what was the celebrity, YouTuber go. Brian Hilton. Thank you very much for nothing, young people. Brian Hilton, he used to be kind of like that, but like less like cloudy, okay? Back in the day, he wasn't like that. So I think he ended up getting some information on somebody, and he was able to land himself a job by doing that. But his name got floated this week as being gone as little as days. Not weeks, as little as days. So the assumption is, and we don't have any concrete confirmation of this, but the assumption is that Brian Stelter's out at CNN. That has been the assumption from the very beginning. But you also have some other people out there too, but again, liability, very problematic. How can you have any credibility when the guy got caught doing that on a Zoom meeting in front of his coworkers? And I know that he didn't think that anybody was watching, but even the way they brought him back to the network, right? He had this indefinite leave absence, and they brought him back and sat him down. Was it Dana Bash? They sat him down with a woman, and she's like, "Yeah, we got to talk about you dilling yourself in front of me on camera." And he's just got this look of shame on his face. It was one of the most awkward and cringe moments in all of cable news history. Instant credibility issues with him anyway. And then he says really bad things like, hey, you know, places that don't have a public school that can now send your kid not to just private school, but religious private school somehow violates the establishment clause. This is not a serious person, okay? Primetime Fox is still the cable news ratings king, averaging 2.6 million viewers, or just a 14% decline over the weeks leading into Biden's inauguration. Meanwhile, CNN's viewership cratered to just over 733,000 on average, roughly 78% decline since January. MSNBC only averaged about 1.4 million viewers during primetime weekday hours. Again, CNN right now is all day. Yeah, 408,000. Just like it really is ugly. So Discovery chief David Zaslav, who is widely expected to assume stewardship of CNN after its merger with Warner Media, is weak, has kept his public comments on the Daily News Network close to the vest. When asked by Deadline what he thinks will happen with Jeff Zucker, he said, "Jeff's a good friend and I like him a lot." Then we know what happened with Jeff Zucker. Jeff Zucker disappeared. He went away. I had massive sex scandal. Took Cuomo with him. And Cuomo might have been one to survive because Cuomo was their highest rated show. Yeah. And it was bad. So lots of names getting floated around here. Most people are assuming the cost is going to go. Stelter's going to go. You might keep Anderson Cooper. Maybe. Anderson Cooper used to do straight news and got away from that. So we're not exactly sure. We're expecting that there's going to be a pretty big blow up at CNN very soon. And we've already noticed a change in the way that CNN does things on the network. So keep an eye on that. The next thing that we want to talk about after the news break here. So for those of you who have kids in public school, you probably had to bring home the Scholastic Book Club, right? The Scholastic Book Club, you come home, you buy all the books. Well, the Scholastic Book Club is all engaged in Pride Month, has some parents concerned based on some of the reading material that is available. That coming up, Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
for what? They don't get penalties, so why am I getting a penalty? Piss off.
Yeah.
That's stupid. They didn't get penalties.
Everybody's tired. Just one of those days. Everybody is tired.
A second, too.
It used to be, it's all post-COVID stuff. That whole sales pitch happened. And it was constantly, until right about now, louder when it came to right about now, oh, I have a client meeting to get to before 5. Let's get out and go home. Half an hour early, kind of. It's and you'll roll up tomorrow. If you come tomorrow, and you'll see the parking lot actually has cars in it. That's because there's a sales meeting. It's the only reason. Only reason. Yeah, one of those things. All right, on the spot. That's all you do. All I do. Everybody, Casey Henderson here. Look, if you have employees at the office and you have clients coming into the office, you want to make sure that the office is clean, presentable. It increases productivity. There's actual research into this that a clean office actually makes a happy office. It's kind of like being at home. You don't like being messy at home. You get kind of moody. It's the same thing at work. If everything is clean, everything's put in order, people tend to be happier and more productive. Plus, if you have potential clients coming in, you want them to see your best face. You don't want them to come into messy places. They might not want to work with you. And you want to attract the best workers. So if you're trying to get people to come work for you, they need to know that they're going to go into an environment that takes their personal safety and sanitation seriously. Also, because they don't want to be a messy environment. Having a clean office is more than just having a clean office. It says so much about your company to people outside of your company. Go to cleanindustrialoffice.com. These are the cleaners that you're not going to have.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm still in pain. Doctor who was taking over, Dr. Thompson, called me ER and told me to look at me and
Okay.
tell me what's going on. It is my muscles in my hands, and he did a bunch of tests on my hands. I didn't have x-rays or nothing.
Uh-huh.
And the intern came in, and the actual doctor came in. It has to do, I have a pinched nerve.
Yeah.
It's a pinched nerve, and he said, lucky it's not in the brain, or they would do the more, certain tests and stuff. And my back starts with my spine and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And he said my left hand looks different, and he did test. Some of them were the same when he touched, some was not. So actually tomorrow when I get home from work, I've got to call Michael Berry. He does hand surgery.
Okay.
Probably, I talked to the nurse, she said probably what they're going to do first to do hand therapy and stuff.
Right.
To get the muscles back.
Right.
Then if that don't help, then I'll have to have hand surgery.
Of some sort, sure.
Yeah. So I am heading to Farmers Mart to pick up my prescription.
Okay.
And then I'm going to making dinner.
Okay.
Alright, later, bye.
Love you, bang.
Bye.
Across the country where children purchase books without the supervision of their parents. Sometimes they have PTA volunteers there, sometimes they don't. There was always PTA volunteers we had when I was a kid. So you had your teacher and PTA. I don't know if it's done the same. I've heard a couple where you just kind of go to the library kind of steers that. So it might just depend on where you are. I'm not sure. So anyway, we looked at French, and they looked into several of the erotic books. Many romanticize sex and transgender lesbian children. They talked about one book titled Heartstopper. It's about a young high school boy who is a professional rugby player at his school. The two become friends and eventually romantic, as, quote, they come to understand the surprising and delightful ways in which love works.
Ew.
Heartstopper is targeted at children as young as 12 years old. Another book targeted at 12-year-olds is titled The Girl from the Sea. That is a book about a young girl who has a secret of wanting to kiss another girl, and she eventually falls in love with a girl in her town. Quote, everything they're each trying to hide will find its way to the surface. The woman is ready or not. The description. In a book titled I Wish You All the Best, a young boy is disowned by his parents for coming out as non-binary. The child eventually moves in with his sister and meets a boy at a new school who he falls in love with. Now that book is targeted to children as young as 14 years old. Let's see, we've got one for 9-year-olds. Two young girls are friends in school fall in love. The description of One True Way reads, Allie and Sam are friends. Allie and Sam are girls. Allie and Sam are falling for each other, and they basically say the novel is a thoughtful eye-opening and tolerance, acceptance, and change. So again, your kids are going to bring these home for the school year, so just keep an eye on it, and some of you have subscriptions and things like that to Scholastic and what have you. But now the other thing is that usually you go through these things, your kid picks out which ones they want, you send somebody to school, they order the books, a few weeks later you get the books and that sort of thing. We do it too, everybody kind of does it. But pay closer attention to some of the stuff that's in there now as a parent, so you can kind of steer what types of books you want your kid to see, to own, that sort of thing. Because if it's making its way in here, you assume it's going to make its way in there during the school season as well. So that way you as a parent are able to be observant about the materials that you deem acceptable or not acceptable for a child's age. And yet, I'm not your kid's parent. I'm not telling you that this stuff is wrong or not. You have to determine that. But you should be well aware of this stuff. Because a lot of these books that we have talked about over the past couple of years that end up in elementary school and middle school are really not appropriate at all. Very graphic imagery, graphic drawings, graphic descriptions using words. Some people have said that it's, you can't call it pornography if it's just letters. That's not true. And everybody knows that that's not true. But at the same time, you as a parent are going to have to be aware that this is the stuff that is out there, so you have to be able to steer your child into things that are okay, steer them away from things that are not okay. And with Scholastic, you're going to have to pay attention because you assume that this stuff is now going to be a part of the curriculum, pamphlets that they send home, and what have you. And make sure that your child knows that they can discuss anything that they need to discuss with you at home, just in case something like this comes up at school, because it increasingly is coming up at school. It is now becoming a routine thing on the early show that we do. They're totally not coming from the kids. And we will have several stories where some teacher has preyed upon children in various ways. We had another 2 of them just today. So it's a routine, ongoing thing. It's not a President Blue sort of thing. It's one that I can give you a couple of examples of teachers preying upon kids every single day. And I'm not just talking about actually assaulting children. I'm talking about the grooming type behavior, exposing children to certain things. If your kid doesn't want to be exposed to certain thing, we'll excuse them from the class. But the example today was a music teacher who wanted to use Elton John and Freddie Mercury, or do a lesson plan on Elton John and Freddie Mercury, and make it all about their sexuality, not about the music. And you kid out, and your kid can go to another music teacher's class for the day, but you have to be prepared for your kid to get bullied as a result of this, and you better have some answers for that if you're not a tolerant household.
It's a good car. Not great.
So you got to keep an eye on this stuff. It's one of the reasons that we got my oldest kid out of public school. Officially went.
So I got some stuff to do, and I'm gonna end this live stream here. It's time to feed the cats and feed the humans. So be back in a little while, and thanks for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing and all the good stuff. And we'll see you in a little bit.